I think we're live.
What? No intro?
No intro yet. No intro yet.
Damn it!
This is low budget. Low budget.
It's just colorists. It's just colorists.
And you're saying we need to be prepared, right? Always prepared.
Hey, I was in the middle of making an intro, and then I just ran out of gas. I was like, oh, I gotta fucking go back.
I totally feel that.
All right, so we got looks like we got David Feed in the chat. We got Bogdan in the chat, Chuck, and Felix Haas. A couple others that haven't said anything yet.
Well, hello and welcome, everyone.
Welcome to the Colorist, Gab and Collab. I can't remember that name. I think I'm clever or whatever.
What does the GAB stand for?
To gab, to talk,
Bullshit. Canadians, man.
Sounds like a bunch of ladies.
That's what GAB is. It goes jabberish. I thought it was jab, not gab.
Scotsman, it already derailed.
It's already gab or gibberish, which is to talk nonsense. Jabberish, I have no idea what you're talking about.
I just like to say, right? There's a lot of colorists in Comicsgate. Lots of us. Not all of us know each other. Some of us are in various DM groups. Some of us go on streams with one another frequently. Mm-hmm. But not everybody knows each other. So my goal here is to try to get as many people who color in Comicsgate into this show week over week and talk about things. Talk about our process, talk about where we are, what art we're working on. Maybe show some art if we'd like to, if we can, because sometimes we can't. But cover the process of coloring comics from start to finish. And I've been trying for years now. It's now on year 1 or almost year 2 now to put together an effective coloring series, helping people start from the very first step all the way to producing a flattened CMYK print ready piece of art that they can give to their editor or to the writer or to whomever they're doing it for, so it can actually be printed, right? Because if we're, as artists, if we're producing art that looks great on Twitter but can't go to press, I mean, yeah, you might get paid for a digital commission, but you can't do sequential work if you don't know what you're doing, right? Mm-hmm. No, thank you, wife. My wife's bringing me donuts.
I'll take them.
So my goal is to get everyone at least to know the process from start to finish, right? So today's episode is all about how to set up a page to color. Because if you don't have a good starting point, you won't have a good end point, right?
Right.
So we'll cover that. But first, I want to introduce the panel and talk about what project you're currently on. If you want to share a piece of art that you're working on today or during this week, feel free to share, and I'll share your screen. So just going around the horn. First up, Vinny Art.
Hey, guys. Yeah, I mean, if you're watching, I think you know who I am. But if not, I'm the co-creator of Through the Woods, sole creator of City of Venus. I'm also working on a pirate book that's going to be launching, at least the sign-up page is going to be launching in another month or so. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. And I'm doing some cover work for a couple of other Comicsgaters at the moment.
Nice. Can't wait for that pirate book, Vinny.
I know, man.
Super exciting.
I can't wait. Background there.
Man, I can't wait for that pirate book to be out so I can get City of Venus too.
Second chance, Vinny of Venus. I mean, City of Venus.
Nice. Yeah, the sequel is coming right after the pirate book. That's why Sim keeps saying that.
Yeah, it is. I can't wait. It's my favorite so far. Like, I by the way, I did read Through the Woods, liked it a lot.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
But City of Venus is still my fucking fave. Sorry, Frank.
Well, next up, I think we have Simon Olivier.
Well, hello. I'm not working on nothing color-wise because right now I'm delaying it to Scotsman and Beacon.
Yep.
So I'm concentrating on black and whites and hiring Scotsman and Beacon to do my colors.
Yeah. So what is it? Tales from the Natverse and
Tales from the Nadverse, Not the Merc, and there's going to be a Blood Hunt full colored edition coming soon.
Ooh.
And I have a few other projects coming.
So Sim isn't here for the coloring part. He's here for the gab part.
But I do some colors too, but you know.
Well, I mean, you colored Cybershock. You were the colorist in that project, right?
Yeah, I colored Cybershock. I did some colors that you will probably be redoing from Not the Merc. I want to see your version of the cockpit scene. Come on.
Oh yeah. I've been seeing that piece of art for quite a while.
Watch your language.
It's a nice cockpit. You know, it's a nice cock piece, right?
Yeah.
A cockpit piece. So
I mean, you know, he's got a dashboard. It's glowing. He's got some dice hanging up.
yeah, it goes around and it hits you in the face every time you see it and you click on it and you look at it, right? And you cannot deny, you cannot like, you know, ignore it neither. It's right there. It's big enough and it's flashy, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All right, going around the horn, you get to ink spots. Hello, brother.
Hey, what's up, man? I'm currently the colorist on Cash Grab. Also, I'm going to be working on Charlie's London upcoming book, From East Lane to Limelight, and I'm working on a couple other projects I can't talk about yet, but that's who I am.
Nice. And I see you have a shared screen here. You want me to put that up?
Yeah, go. You could show that
Okay.
if you want.
Here we go.
This is not the last page of Cash Grab colored, but it's the latest one that he's shown so far, so can't show anything else. So
Ooh, snap.
Very cool.
there you go.
Ladies with boobs.
Yeah, and lots of dildos for some reason. I haven't read the story. I just color wieners. So
It looks like you're in Photoshop there. Yep.
yeah, that's my main workhorse, Photoshop.
Nice. Excellent. All right. So next we got Michael Beacon. All right.
All right.
He's a power ginger like me. I call him Michael Bacon.
Nice.
All right. So right now I'm currently fulfilling 7 legions. It's still up. So yeah, you can still buy it until all 169, I believe, copies are sold out. So aside from that, I'm, you know, as Sim said, working on Tales from the Natverse, and I got a couple other projects coming up that I can't quite yet talk about. But yeah, so back 7 legions still available.
It's almost like a spy business. You know what I mean? As colorists, we're like,
Yeah,
things we just can't, we could tell you, but then we'd have to kill you.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we got to keep it quiet. Luckily, there are only 2 pages in Xenotype that I can't show. Everything else I can color live.
I know what one of those pages are.
What's that?
I know what one of the pages happens to be.
Yeah, it's pretty
Stop bragging, Vinny.
pretty gnarly.
Well, it's just because it's a lot.
It's a bit shocking.
You're such a braggart, though, because you're like, oh, I know one of the pages.
Oh, what are you doing here? You just here to break my balls.
Yeah, pretty much.
What is that?
Someone's
What is
got
that? It's a bragging fight?
What does it
Jeez.
mean?
I mean,
Really mean?
You know, sometimes you gotta figure it out and do it and all that, you know,
I just, yeah.
metaphorically. Next up, we have my brother at arms, my fellow Scott, Captain Buckhead. Is he awake? Is he there? Is his mic working? Is he drunk?
Maybe he's not there, you know?
Happy? Come on.
He joined the stream.
Seriously.
Come on,
Join the
fuckhead.
gym and he made tea.
If he's got nothing. Oh, shit.
There you go.
Jesus Christ.
Am I loud enough yet?
Gee,
I hear you now.
you're such a fuckhead.
Yes.
Yeah. I've been talking all this way through, but I've just realised that StreamYard has managed to switch my mic from my mic to my not mic.
Yeah.
Like, not
It's a
nerd.
bitch like that. Yeah.
Fucking StreamYards. Jesus Christ. Well, no. How is everybody?
We're doing great.
I've not just been sitting here silent like an idiot. Fuck me. Great start.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
So was I, to be honest with you. Jeebus.
Now you know why they don't let us out, those colorists. That's why they keep us locked away.
So now you know why you're not mentioned that much too, right?
That's all right with me. That's fine. I don't mind that. I'd rather let my work speak for itself.
Yes.
Yep, that's the point of an artist, right?
Speaking of which, what are you working on currently?
I've been doing some work with you, obviously. I'm hoping to be doing some stuff with Inkspots in the near future.
Yep.
I'm doing some stuff, or I have just completed a couple of pieces for Mr. Russ Leach, for the book Only Death Can Save Us, which is coming out on the 1st of September to Indiegogo. If you don't know who Ross is yet, you need to check out who he is. A former pro, very happy to be quite cuddled up to Comicsgate, and a lovely chap. And his book looks fucking superb. What else am I doing? I've done a little bit of stuff for Charlie's London already. I'm sitting here tracing a doodle ready for inking for a bit to do some marker work rather than just. I don't like all this traditional stuff after a while. All this digital stuff after a while it gets boring. You got to go back analog every now and again.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you'll have
there-
some more flatting for me soon too. I'm getting.
Is there
Yep.
is there any
that
of
starts
those
tomorrow?
is there any of those projects where you're gonna start doing colors and not just flats?
I've done so. That's what I was doing for Russ.
Okay.
I've coloured a couple of pin-ups for him,
Awesome.
which was a fucking headache and also a lot of fun. So hopefully, yeah, I'm getting there slowly but surely with colouring. Getting there.
Nice.
I remember when you started, dude. It's freaking awesome to see you grow in the last 2 years.
I know. It makes me
Well-
proud. Makes me proud to watch it.
Yeah.
Getting there. It's just it's more of a style thing rather than figuring out the actual process. It's much more figuring out what it is I want to do as opposed to.
But it's learning technique, learning process, then forgetting everything, then figuring out your style.
Yeah.
It's kind of it, right? You develop a basket of tricks,
Yep.
and hopefully you have a strong understanding of the fundamentals. You need to learn how to use your tools. If you don't know how to use Clip and Photoshop, you got to figure it out, because those are, a dentist can't get rid of cavities unless they know how to drill and scrape.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So
I mean, that's a great analogy, isn't it?
Wow.
right.
Ah. And I have to admit, I do like the anti-English button.
Right.
Oh, I just remembered something though. I did lie before. I do have 2 gigs of colors that I already did, but they're not out yet. I did the colors for the Joel Ball variant cover for Cybershock that's going to be coming out soon.
Ah, okay.
And I also did the colors for a print for the Ace comic. Wink, wink.
Nice. Well, and last
I'm
but
just not allowed to show it.
definitely not least is another ginger, right? I don't know what it is about. What do we got? How many gingers we got here? Sim, he's a little gingery.
Yep.
Cap, got a ginger beard.
I've got a ginger beard.
Yep.
Mikey Bacon, he's a ginger. We got Shay down here. Another ginger. What is with colorists and
Is she a real ginger?
No.
No, nah.
I'm not a real
I'm supposed to
ginger.
say that.
I was wondering.
Ruined my
It's
narrative.
obvious.
You
It's
just
too
fucking
obvious.
ruined my narrative.
No,
I
it's,
know. Oh, look, I choose to be ginger.
yeah,
Fair.
but Shay, the thing is, I've seen some ginger that had that more of auburn coloring in their hair, and
Yeah.
they would try and pump it up with coloring. That's why I was asking you, because it kind of look a bit like it's very bright auburn.
Yeah, no, that's just really good color.
There you go.
I
Clip or
naturally am
Photoshop.
dead mouse blonde. It's horrible.
So what are you working on, Shay? What do you
I'm like-
explain yourself?
I can't. There's no explaining. What are you talking about? I'm almost like the jack of all trades and the master of none through CG. So my main stuff obviously is my YouTube channel and promotion and cosplay, but I've also picked up a bunch of side gigs doing flatting work for a couple different pretty awesome projects. Just picked up a second one, so
You could say it.
okay. I'm doing flats for ink for cash grab.
Nice.
So,
Sweet.
and then I'm doing flats for Sweens on Oddity. So I'm trying to get all of that shit done because holy fuck, swamps are evil to flat, and I'm not a fan at all. Seriously, like people that give me stuff that have a whole bunch of like really intricate thin detail, and they're like, yeah, just flat this. I'm like, oh, fuck you, asshole. Like,
Hey,
sure, no problem.
you want to see how many individual pieces of glass Odie puts in on a smashed fucking windscreen?
No, I do not.
Jesus Christ.
If Odie ever was like, hey, Shay, will you flat for me and be like, go fuck yourself respectfully. You're amazing, and no.
170 in one panel, I found counted.
No, I flatted a test piece for Joe Ball, and just the splash off of water, I was like, I hate you so much. There's so many individual droplets.
Why do you think
Odie's famous for water droplets and broken glass.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Vinny?
I said, why do you think artists hate themselves so much?
Yeah.
It's the constant abuse we give ourselves with all this.
I went and got this tattooed off of what somebody did for art. It was 26 hours, and I got to fill every single line of detail that the artist put in for the stone. I wanted to murder them after my first sitting of 6 hours.
Oh,
it was brutal.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
Yeah,
and I write some
black.
stuff.
You know what I mean? Which takes hours to fill in. That shit.
Yeah, but at least you can have a wider needle. I had like the thinnest of needles that was like, and here's the little line, and here's a little line, and here's a line that goes into your armpit. And I was like, okay, we got to stop. Like,
yeah, but like this guy was using like a 7-needle rake on my arm and going for like 20 minutes, and he would wipe, and there'd be like an eighth of an inch. Like,
yep. That is what it feels
crazy.
Like to get tattooed. It's so much
So
fun.
that kind of goes into it. The most unappreciated, unrecognized job in comics is probably a comic book flatter. The only one that appreciates them is the actual colorist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
like a lot.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a lot.
Because we don't want to flat. I don't want to flat.
I get it, because there's times where I'm like, I owe like 4 pages between the people I'm flatting for. I'm like, oh gosh, like how much liquor can I drink and still flat? Like effectively.
So I can answer that.
not as much as Cappy. That's how much I can drink and still flat. Cappy is,
and that's the thing. Like,
very good.
you know, people. I've heard many people say, flatting isn't a skilled. It isn't a skilled process. It's mindless. No, it's not. And because if you accidentally, you know, flat with a anti-aliased lasso,
Oh yeah.
you wasted your time, right?
So-
you gotta do it.
My first flatting gig was for Carl O'Rowe. Not only did I take way too long, I did not flat at all properly. I got my ass super fired, like to the point where Carl was like, yeah, so there's someone who can do this the right way and quicker, and so I'm gonna go with them. And I was like, I'm giving you your money back. And he was like, no, it's okay. I was like, no, I'm giving you your money back. I am thoroughly ashamed of what I gave you. I'm sorry.
But that right there, had this show existed and we were on the flatting episode and you'd seen it, you might have landed that gig and taking it all the way through. So
Yeah, as opposed to embarrass the fuck out of myself for thinking I knew what flatting was when I had no clue.
This is gonna. Well, I think this is gonna be a very interesting series of videos you're doing, because I don't really flatten. I don't do that process.
Right.
because you digitally paint every single fucking frame.
Yeah, when I paint, I don't do that either.
I was gonna say the way that I first learned flatting, or what I thought was flatting, was when I was helping somebody lay down base colors who paints their panels. So I was helping him pick out detail, but I was literally painting it, and then he would go in and he would colorize it. So whenever I did something, every time I did a different section, it was a different layer. So he could go in and colorize it, and then merge them down when he got them close to what he wanted, and then mess with them and paint over them.
Right.
But that's not flatting. That's
Right.
very, very different. That's like pre-coloring.
And one thing I'll say about flatting, people who have never done it before, who are looking to get into it, never use the fill bucket. I've got flats where it was someone just used the fill bucket. It was an abomination.
Well, you can use the fill bucket. You just got to do the right settings.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you-
gotta turn out aliasing.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
But you
Yeah.
can miss
Anti-aliasing.
pixels, though, too. Like
Huh?
if you got really obscure angles and your sensitivity isn't high enough, you'll miss a couple pixels here and there sometimes and really sharp.
See, maybe I'm just anal retentive because I'll fill, and if I see that I fucked up pixels or something, I go in and clean up, which is one of the reasons that it takes me so long. But at the same time, like it just makes me be a lot more.
As a colorist, I expect that though. If I get flats with stray pixels, you're not my flatter. So, yeah, I'm really anal about the flats. They gotta be right. Yeah.
Well, then this is a good matchup.
There you go.
I had a guy before I hired Shay who handed in the flats where he had used the paint bucket tool, and I had white lines between all my flats, and I had to reflat the whole thing. And
Big to small.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
big to small.
Yeah, that's the problem I ran into with the guy who used the bucket.
It's the anti-alias.
Yeah, but right now there's also the problem that a lot of people are trying to use that autofill. It's not just the paint bucket. There's something where in Clip Studio where you can just mark a color between the lines and it'll autofill by itself. It's auto flat. It's a new program in there, and it fucking ruins everything unless you know how to use it.
But also too, you need like if I get a page and all the skin isn't the same color. So I can't select all the skin on the page or all of one. Also, that's not right either. You know, and that's what those auto programs do. They fill all the spaces, but everything doesn't match.
No, you got to keep it consistent between your characters. So if you have, like Cecil in 3 different panels, his skin tone, his jacket, his everything is the same in all 3 panels. It's like I literally color grab from the panel above it. To make sure that I have the same color every time, because a slight hue difference can fuck it.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So we've introduced our entire panel. Everybody's on different projects. Everybody's in different places in their coloring career. Everybody has different techniques, and that's the thrust of this show, is to share these ideas and talk about those types of things. So the topic today is how to start a comic book page and get it ready for coloring. What resolution do you use? So, Vinny, what resolution do you color in?
Usually anywhere from 250 to 300 is what I usually do. And then after I flatten everything, like when I'm going for the final file, I'll shoot that up into 350, 400.
Oh, so you res up?
Yeah.
Now,
I've never heard that.
Is that why, or is there a reason?
It was just a lot of my old computers. I had so many files in them. It was just taking up so much space. And I'm self-taught on every level, but I know for printing, all you really need is 300 resolution. You don't have to go that crazy. I know some people goes up to 600 or even more. But I've had files that they've been blown up to 15, 20 feet high at that regular resolution, and it's crystal clear. So I don't know what everyone's like, oh no, we got to go higher, I don't think you need to go that fucking high. And you guys have seen my books. They are, immaculate. The clarity is all there 100%. I never had an issue with that. So for, I guess, to save space and stuff like that, it works fine with me. But when I do it like when I bump it up, while it's still like, as soon as I flatten it, it's still like, I guess, that Photoshop file, and then I bump it up from there. I don't save it and then bump it up, because I know that you could run into a problem with that, from like having a JPEG or whatnot.
Interesting. Okay. Sim, what resolution do you work in?
Between 600 to 625 DPI.
Mm-hmm. And that's when you're doing your drawing, or when you're coloring, or is it the same?
I do the same. Sometimes I might reduce it to 300 DPI to do 400 DPI to do coloring, but usually I'm at 600. 600. I have a big computer, so there's no lag. Like I remember that before, like my computer was less not as big of a monster, and when your DPI is too high, and you're trying to do color, it kind of you're going too fast and it kind of lags. So that's why I would recommend if that happens to you, reduce it to at least 400 DPI. But if you can draw it at 600, you get a better blend. That's my and less chance. It's easier to get all the way under the black line when you're selecting freely, like freehands. That's my own opinion.
Now, are we talking at scale, at reduced down to 11 inches, or 11, or reduced down to comic size? Or
No, 11 by 17, 625 DPI.
okay, so you're doubly,
Yeah.
like, so
I'm
you've got
drawing
the
a
scale
billboard.
resolution
I'm drawing
plus
I'm drawing the size of something that could be printed as a billboard,
okay.
Or a
like a
building.
movie poster. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because once you realize these get converted to line screens, and you look at a color halftone up close, you realize that all that resolution, it gets turned into dots, and those dots are really big, way bigger than you can imagine. So that's interesting. Okay, what about you, Inkspots? What res do you work at?
Well, it kind of depends on the way I get sent the files. Sometimes I'm going to get sent black and white files that are 600 to 650 DPI. At that point, I kind of get to decide what resolution I want to work at. So my preferred resolution is 450. 300 is just a little small for me, and I kind of have Photoshop set up to work at 450. My brushes their textures and everything are set up to work at that size. But also sometimes, like cash grab pages, they come to me already shrunken down. So when I get the TIFF file, it's only at 400 DPI at 11 by 17. So it depends on what the artist sends me to, because I don't want to up-res. I don't want to lose resolution, make things blurry. So yeah, it kind of depends on how they're sent to me. So
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Michael Beacon, what res do you work at?
And pretty much the same as what Inkspot said. But like, with the pages I got from Henry and Pablo on Seven Legions, they would send me the pages where they would print like 23 inches or something, like much bigger than 11 by 17, but they'd have like 300 DPI. So I'd work on that, and then just sort of like my scale it down to, the print size at 600 DPI. Yeah.
Okay. Cap, what res are you working at?
If I'm working for someone like you, I'm going to rely on what you're sending me. So where the file that you send me, I'm going to assume that that's the file that you want me to work with.
Yep.
So I'm happy to work with anything that is sent by the artist. But if I'm working on my own stuff, I spent a lot of time working in print reproduction and stuff like that. So I work anywhere between 350 and 600. I'm also used to working with vector stuff somewhat.
Where there is no resolution in vector.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of relearning a whole load of stuff that I had to learn at university to get back into the swing of that. Because as you say, you can print something that's a vector the size of a stamp and the size of a house, and there's no degradation in the image at all.
Right.
Yeah. So anywhere between 350 and 600 normally. The size of the canvas will be the size of the canvas that I want to be working on. Like I don't really think about that, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like if I'm planning a painting at the moment that's going to go on a table, so my canvas is the size of the table, so that I know what I'm working with in terms of the line.
Excellent. Okay. And Shay, so what res do you work in?
Whatever I'm sent.
Whatever
to
you're
be
sent.
honest, yeah, I don't, because I'm not to the point where I'm coloring on my own anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
we're gonna
right
fix
now,
that, by the way.
You keep saying that. I'll get there eventually, but I do know, just based off of what I've done for print and everything, don't ever do less than 300, because printing below 300 resolution, unless you're going to print something like a postcard, and even then it's still sketch, is going to come out muddy, and it's going to come out blurry, and it's not going to be what you want it to be.
Yeah, there's actually a book I received from a comics creator that the whole book was printed very blurry.
Man, yeah.
Oh,
I got a mud book from a comic. Well, yeah, I'm not gonna say the book,
Yeah, we
but
won't say any names.
The coloring looked beautiful online. When I got the book,
that is
it was 100% mud. It was horrible.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
You always get a proof. Always get a proof, and so you know what it's gonna look like.
Of course. Yeah, because I wouldn't print. Yeah, I wouldn't print less than like 350, 400. And whoever this was, I think they might have printed at around 200.
From what I was told, it's tolerated 300. 300 is the limit you can go down without losing quality. 400 is what's is pretty much ass. you know, as quality. 600, like what I'm doing is kind of going like, nah, I don't want to take any chance. I just want to make.
Yeah.
You know, it's like going 11 to 17 to a 20 by 30 something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, interesting thing. I worked in my early youth. I worked at Kinko's for like a decade, and so
what?
as far as reprographics, I also worked for Xerox for about a year, and I dealt with printing, offset printing, as well as xerography, black and white output, all that. It's interesting. I got put through a digital printing course when I worked for Xerox. If you're printing digitally, right, the rule is the maximum resolution of the printer, half of that, the distance between half of the max resolution to its max resolution, your eye can't tell the difference. So if it's a 600 DPI printer, if you send a 300 DPI file to it, 400 DPI file to it, all the way up to 600 DPI file, that digital printer will not produce a result that your eye can discern as different. It's so minute you can't pick up on it.
Right.
So as many people on the panel have said, 300 DPI is kind of the break point. You don't want to be below that.
Nope.
And the two factors we're dealing with are scale and resolution. So scale, work at traditional arts done on 11 by 17 Bristol boards, then they're either scanned or, well, they'd have to be scanned, and then colored digitally or inked.
Shrunk down first. Usually they would be shrunk down first to the comic book printing size, then they would be colored.
Well, different coloring studios have different processes. Some would drum scan it at 100% at 11 by 17. Like Top Cow, their coloring studio was ridiculous. I took a tour there with some friends, and they had their production bay where they had like all their scanners. This was back when having a drum scanner was crazy. It was like they were like thousands of dollars. They would drum scan their 11 by 17 art, and then they would scale them down with Photoshop, because back then computers couldn't handle files that were that big. Coloring process was totally different. Now we all have these beasts that can handle these full resolution files at full scale. So the thing to keep in mind is, are you working at comic book size or are you working at original art size? And if you're working at original art size, you can be below 300. You don't want to be, because you're going to be scaling down. So you're gaining resolution when you're scaling down. But the general rule of thumb is, no matter what size your art is, don't ever really be below 300. Try to always be at 300 or above, whatever your computer can handle. So, but I think Sim had mentioned working at a higher resolution gets you better gradients, gets you smoother blends, gets you more precise selections, things like that. Those are things.
Variation in your strokes when you're doing inks and stuff like that. So that's why. And the bigger you are, you can put, like, your brush has more effect on the weight when you're doing the variation of the response to your.
I like to work bigger also, because maybe they're going to take that piece and make it into a poster or something that's larger than comic book size. So they have that extra resolution they can use.
That's what I said when they were asking me why I was drawing all those details in the background. I go, people are not going to see it on the comic. I go, maybe not, but on the print they will. Like on the poster they will.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm usually around there, and I have posters all over the place. Like I said, I've had pieces blown up to like 20 feet high, and the clarity's still there. So I've never really run into that issue ever.
Yeah, but you're magic.
I guess. I don't know.
Well, that and again, that's the big myth. Resolution is mystifying to people, right? A lot of people are intimidated by it. You get a lot of JPEGs on the internet that are 72 DPI, because that's screen. That's for viewing on screen. And people, I've heard a lot of people ask questions about what res do I work in, what res do you work in, what's effective, and it's all dependent on what is the output going to be used for. Is it going to be digital or is it going to go to press?
That's what I was going to say, because you could have a high res image and it looks freaking amazing, but when you're going to try and do a video editing of your image, you're going to have to reduce that resolution to the size of the video. Otherwise it's going to look all pixelated, and you're going to go, what the fuck, why does it look like shit? It's high res, and you're like, why? Then you reduce it, and then you're going to see it's because the video program is limited, so it's gonna try. It's kind of like you're giving too much info for him to compute.
Mhm.
So that's why a lot of people are getting confused with resolution. It depends on the output that you're using.
Yeah.
Now, when I was learning to do digital painting, I learned from a course I took that the guys at Disney put together, and their kind of rule of thumb was as long as you have at least 3,000 pixels in every direction, you're going to be all right.
Pickles,
Shay
baby.
knows about pickles.
Were you
but,
looking at Shay eating while you were talking, bro?
No, but I was just told as long as you have 3,000 pixels in each direction, you're going to print fine, and you're at your So
Yeah, that's really the trick, right? Pixels. We don't really talk about pixels. We talk about inches or centimeters if you're Simon, I guess, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, in cap.
Millimeters, boy. Millimeters.
And the golden rule in resolution, like it's just to relieve a bit of stress with people. It's the first rule you need to keep in mind is always make it bigger than the output is going to be. It's you can shrink it down, but you cannot scale it without losing nothing. So it's always anything that's art digital, it's you can shrink down, but you cannot scale up without losing. So you're better going bigger than what you're supposed to than going down. It's the principle of comics.
Yeah, and that's the thing too to keep in mind is you can res your stuff up, but you're not. It's kind of a fallacy, right? You can't add information to something that's digital.
Exactly.
Right. Once you have a certain ratio of pixels to inches, resing them up, you're basically just taking the existing information, dividing it in quadrants, and Photoshop is measuring the color values of all of its neighbors and assuming what that pixel color should be.
It's
so
like
you're blurring the pixels as you go upward. So it's always better to start big, come down, than to start medium and go up.
Because when you use pixels, you go from bigger, you go down. It looks like you're adding details, right? It looks like it's more detail. It's tighter. Well, you could circumvent it by using vectors, but vectors has its own issues, and shrink it, scale it. There's no big difference.
Yes, true. And it's vectors are literally most of the time they're more suited for typographical things.
Yes, illustrative commercial art more than actual. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. You look at the things like in the NBA, you see all that shit on the floor.
Yeah.
That's all vector-based work. It's the same for printing because they're using the same file that they're using for printing a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, it's you use that too. It's the main thing you use for logo designs and all those. Yeah, for companies.
Jason Black, keep it in your pants, buddy. Keep it in your pants.
Oh yeah, we haven't addressed the chat in quite a while. Let's see, who do we got here? We've got Matt Tobor from Planet Tobor, the developer of Savage. Ooh, nice indie game. Felix Haas, thank you for posting those links. J Money McClure, what's up, dude? Bogdan, hey Bogdan, and Skip is here. Skip, my man. King Cobra and Oli and Jason Black. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It's good that you're here.
Hail the chat.
What's that? Oh yeah.
Hail the chat.
Indeed.
We're just trying to open a dialogue with everybody, and I think this is really valuable. I want as many people as possible to see this and to learn from it. Sorry, Vinny, what were you saying?
Yeah. No, I'm saying we found out a lot of different things from different artists already. I measure in pickles along with Shay.
And apparently, a pickle on stream. Oh my god!
And apparently, I guess my work is magic.
Magical pickles. You're pickle Rick, but you're pickle Vinny. Your own thing.
Vinny, when you work at 250, do you work at full 11 by 17? What size is your inch? Okay, so that's why.
That's where you're getting it.
You're downscaling. You're actually still, you're still getting that resolution. So
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, I've done a lot of trial and error from, again, being self-taught. Like I saw what worked, what didn't, and then talked to a few other people who had a lot of, work in, like you said, in printing and all that. And I never had a major issue. If I had clients who said, we need it at 600 or whatever, I would obviously work bigger. I would normally work like around 350, 400. And then even in the end, I'd scale it up. They were never able to tell the difference.
Well, and a little nugget, a little gem that flew by that I don't think people picked up on, that ink spots throughout there. This is something you might experience. He said, all of my brushes, the images, that are used to make the brush are all scaled to a certain resolution to work at this res that I work at. You might notice if you're used to working at a certain res at a certain size, you hear us talking about this, maybe you change your process, you go bigger, and then your brushes, they're not producing the same lines they used to, because the pixels that make up the brushes, the picture in the background that gives you the tones that the brushes put out will be at a different resolution, a different scale to the art now. It's interesting that he threw that out there.
Nice.
Did you pick? I heard you say that, ink spots. You were talking about.
Well, it's true. When you kind of set Photoshop up the way you want. So when you make your brush, your resolution set when you make that brush. And so if I put a 72 DPI, but at the same inches up, my brush is going to be the size of almost the whole paper. And so your texture is way bigger, and you have to readjust that. So you gotta keep that in mind. I'd like to know what programs everyone uses, and then what kind of file types they kind of work in, and what they send to the client. That sounds I'd like to know
That is actually the next question I was going to ask. We're like in tune with each other. So let's go around the horn. Vinny, what program do you like to work in?
I work with Photoshop. I have CS6. That's what I've worked with for years. Never had a problem with that. And yeah, the file, it's going to be depending on what the client really needs. Most of the time, it's either the Photoshop file, the PDF, but everything is flattened. When I send it, I usually send them all flat. And but other times I will do the JPEG just at the highest resolution that the client needs it at. But yeah, typically that. I don't really do TIFF, to be honest. Yeah, I've only once ran into a problem with that earlier in my career, but yeah, other than that, I've never really had issues.
Okay, because every file format has a very specific purpose. So that's interesting. Okay. Sim, what program and file format do you use and save as?
I used to use Photoshop, and I used to like drawing the Sketchbook Pro more, right? And I would go do the
Autodesk?
coloring. Yeah, Autodesk. And then I discovered Manga Studio Pro, and I got the new Clip edition right now. And that's mainly what I work with right now. I clear the new Clip Studio Paint X, the fully equipped one with animation and everything. I really like it.
I got a free license for it when I bought my Wacom screen, which I was super stoked about.
Yeah.
I'd already bought it though, so I have two now.
Send it over to me.
Then give it out, yeah.
Well, I installed it on all my computers, so now you can do it twice on.
Yeah.
So I have it on 2 laptops and 2 desktops. I can use it anywhere.
Fucking Scott, man. And what I save in is I always use a JPEG for me and transfers, right? To show and stuff like that. It's always easier and it's always lighter to use a JPEG, right? So I always save it as a full res and a low res, 300 DPI and 100 DPI, depending on who I send it, what I want to protect.
Okay.
Because if you give it too much high res, sometimes you won't get paid the rest of your money.
That's right. Don't give out a proof that's usable.
For delivery, before I used to always use PDF mainly, or PNG, right? People used to prefer PDF for delivery. But at the moment, for the last maybe a year, people are asking for PNG or TIFFs.
Yeah.
Because TIFFs is pretty much the closest thing to a PSD without all the extra crap.
Well, TIFF and PNG are almost the identical format. They were made by the same coding group. Yep. TIFF is tagged image file format. It's just an old, antiquated version of it. And PNG was meant to be able to be used with the web and with Office programs portable network graphic is what it
And-
stands for.
and
It's
there-
the same algorithm as TIFF.
PNG, TIFFs, and PDF used to do it too, but not as well. That's why right now I mainly use PNG and TIFF to deliver. Is they also take the transparency,
Right.
and
Right.
so you can save it with transparency. So when you do a logo, you can just drag and drop it, and it just boom, no other work is done.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like it better for that.
Well, and PNGs play nice with browsers as well. With
Yes.
web browsers, where TIFFs do not.
Nope.
Nice. Ink spots. You asked the question. What is your
Okay. Yeah, my workhorse has always been Photoshop. I started with version 5.5, and it was a pirated version way back when you could do that sort of thing. And so I've always kept, I pretty much the way I handle it is when I get a program, I want to rip that damn thing apart. I learned everything that I possibly could about it. So it's a program I know inside and out. So if I want to produce a certain effect, I know where to find it and how to do it. And I would suggest doing that. At least take, if you're going to start in Photoshop, start in Clip Studio, whatever program you're using, learn everything you can about it because it will really help you in the future. I save everything when I'm working as a PDF. And then when I send it to the client, it's always going to be a flattened TIFF file. I never send a JPEG. JPEGs lose information when you save as a JPEG. And every time you resave that JPEG, it loses more information. So TIFF is a lossless file. You don't lose any info. And it always turns out, I've never had a problem using a TIFF. So that's what I use.
Exactly.
Okay. Michael Bacon.
All right, so the program I use is called Krita. It's completely free, and it's, I'd say, just as good as Clip Studio for coloring, but it's what I've grown used to. Haven't quite adapted to using Clip Studio for coloring, but I use it for pretty much everything else.
How do you spell that? Krita? Krita?
Krita.
Krita. Okay, Krita. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a lot of interesting layer settings. Like one of my favorites is Gamma Dark, and it's basically like a burn layer, but like special. But the file settings I save in when I'm still working on it, I'll do PSD, and then whatever I save the file thing as depends on what the client wants. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's usually PNG. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've seen beautiful work done in Krita, and it's free. And I think if I probably started, now I'd probably would go that way. If you can get a free program that does the same thing and can give you the capabilities that you need to do your job, why not? Yeah.
And there's a really cool brush in there that's amazing for flatting. It's like, I mean, Clip Studio has the same thing, but it's not as good. I guess when we show flatting, I can show you an example of it. But yeah, if we're doing that later.
It'll be a later episode, but yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Cap, what program and file formats do you work in?
I use Clip. I fucking love it. I was told at university it had to be Photoshop, all that kind of stuff, like years and years and years ago. And then when I got back into it, I discovered Clip. I got the you get your 30-day trial, and then they had like a 75% off, and I paid for the pro version. I paid like 12 quid, and that's for a lifetime's worth of updates. You own that £12. Like, it's nothing. There's no money whatsoever. And if you're clever, you can get the EX version just as cheap because they run quarterly sales every quarter, obviously. So it's a shit cheap piece of software, and for me, it beats Photoshop hands down all day long, just with its capabilities. When I'm working,
You're high.
Not yet. When I'm working, I use standard Clip Studio file to save everything because that's their standard file. That's what you want to keep using. When I'm sending stuff out for people to look at, just as to keep the conversation going while I'm doing work with them, it's always a JPEG because it's a sensible thing to do. Plus, it's the internet, isn't it? You can't send huge files on the internet for people to look at. You have to shrink them down and make it more easy for Twitter to handle normally.
Right.
If I've done logo stuff for people, I will then send them high-res JPEGs. They'll get PNGs. They'll get the files. They'll get TIFF files. They'll get anything that they may need for what they may want to do with them. So they've got everything. If I'm flatting, depends on what the colorist is working in. So if they're working in Clip, I'll send them a Clip Studio file because it's got all the layers. If they're working in Photoshop, I can send them a big fat Photoshop file. I think it's called in Clip.
PSB.
There you go. I'll send you one of them because I know you get all the layers and everything that you need, so the page is all set up for you to ready to go. But if I'm doing something where the client at the end of it is after a thing, I send them all my files. I will send them a PNG copy, I will send them a JPEG copy, a high-res JPEG, a low-res JPEG. I will send them a TIFF file. If they want it, I will also send them either the clip or the PSB file so that they've got everything.
I will tape up and post my computer to them just in case they want to edit them themselves.
It's just, well, look, it just means that once it's done, they don't have to come back and go, I need this one.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd rather they've got it. Once they've got it, then that's it. If they go,
Really, all this is Cappy is antisocial and he doesn't want to talk to people.
Pretty
after.
much,
And so
yeah.
he's like, here's all your shit. Never contact
much.
me.
Yeah,
And it's like-
money's on the table. Grab your cab.
But
And it's
some
not-
artists make money on the comeback. Like, hey, you did a logo for me a year ago. Can you make some changes to it?
yes,
Why?
I can.
Yes, I
Of course
can.
I can. Of course I can. And I'll send you all the files once they've been changed too.
And I'm going to do it in 5 minutes, but I'm going to take 2 days to send it to you, so you think it took me a long
Manage
time.
expectations.
There you go.
By the way, Scott, I got the okay from Ace, so I can show it's a first. He's never shown it before, so if you want, you can share my screen.
Ooh. All right, let me get to Shay, and I'll do me, and then we'll share your screen.
Yep.
What program and resolution or program and file formats do you work in?
So if I'm flatting, I work in Photoshop because that's what most colorists seem to prefer. I work in, and if I'm doing my own art and my own sketching around, dicking around, whatever, I do all that in Clip Studio.
Wait. Are you Picasso?
No.
Okay. It's all right. You just said dicking around. I'm assuming by that
Dicking around.
nobody knows who Picasso is.
No. That's
No?
terrible. You're terrible.
Picasso? Yeah, he's an Australian that paints with his penis.
No, come on.
I'm serious. I'm absolutely serious. I'm deadly serious. Look it up. Picasso. Picasso with an R in it. Picasso.
I'm more upset that you think I have a penis to paint with. Like,
You said dicking around. I'm just gonna go off the verb you used.
Right. All right. Well,
Future guest.
She'll be Titasso.
I work in Photoshop, and I do have Clip Studio, and I do have Procreate, which hasn't been mentioned yet, surprisingly. That's on the iPad Pro. Well, it's iOS device or iOS.
Isn't that mostly used in like the gaming and movie department?
Procreate?
Yeah, Procreate. It was not something that was main. I remember Procreate from learning from the movie design and.
No, it's a viable coloring program. Drawing, coloring, digital art studio. It's actually excellent. Surprisingly good.
I'll check it out.
Like I ink better in Procreate than I ever have inked traditionally. It's amazing. So, but Sim can attest to this. We've talked about different file formats we work in, right? There's a unique property that Photoshop has, and it's a reason why I use Photoshop, not just because of I love the program, but it has a recovery feature.
Yep.
If you work in PSD, which is the native format for Photoshop document, if you work in PSD, Photoshop 2020, sorry, Vinny, you're gonna have to upgrade. Photoshop 2020, if your program crashes while you're working, it saves a parallel file as you're working. And when you go to open up your original file, it will open up _ recovery file that will have every brushstroke in it that you did.
But Scott, I just want to add one thing though.
Yeah.
The new version with the new updates of the Clip now has a recovery.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, you'll be drawing and it'll just go whoop, recovery save.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, and
Well,
you can
there's
set it. You can set it to a timer as well, I believe, and it'll also save stuff
Auto-save.
to. Because with Clip, you don't just get the software; you get
cloud.
Clip Paint, which is it saves your shit to the cloud as well. So,
Right. Well, I had a mishap about a year ago, or not a year ago. What was it? Probably 8 months ago. I was coloring something for Sim, a picture of Nat, and I was about 40% done. I'd had the flats done. I was rendering the body, and I had part of his metal arm done. And I had a power outage, and my laptop fucked up. It died. It corrupted the TIFF that I was working on. So it won't, like, the file won't open. It's dead. So if you can, work in a file format that's native to the program you're using, and that way it will take advantage of any special functions that its native file format has. Because as what Sim just said, I guess Clip has auto recovery function. Photoshop 2020 also has an auto recovery function. So protect your work. And another thing, this is why it really sucked, is because it corrupted the file itself, not the one I had open, but the save file got corrupted.
Yep.
So, and it's because I was actively working and saving on the TIFF I was working on, and so I never work in TIFF anymore. As far as my layered production file, when I go to press, when I process my files out, my output algorithm, I use the same process. I do two files. I do a TIFF for print and a JPEG for proofing. And it's very important to make sure that your proofing, your JPEG, is in RGB mode. Because if you send someone a CMYK JPEG can handle CMYK, because not all file formats can handle different color modes. Some are only RGB, some are index color, some are lab color, some are CMYK. If someone views it in a web browser, like they go to their Gmail and they open up the proof you sent them and it's in CMYK, the web browser can't display the colors properly. They'll be muddy, they'll be tweaked, they'll be dark, they'll be weird. So just make sure it's in RGB. And the thing to think about, if it's going to be displayed on an illuminated screen, illuminated screens display their colors in red, blue, green. Whenever you go to press, you print in 4 plates, CMYK. So CMYK is used for output. RGB is used for displaying on a digital screen or on a screen. So keep that in mind. So, but that's what I work with. I work with Procreate. I've tried to use Clip. I think it's got a lot of potential for me. I just haven't figured out how I can use it yet. I think I want to draw in it, but I use Procreate for drawing, inking, and a little bit of coloring. But my primary workhorse, as InkSpot says, is Photoshop. So
don't lie, it's Sharpie, isn't it?
I've inked with Sharpies before, filling in, spotting some blacks here and there. You know, after you spot blacks with a brush, and you erase the underdrawing. Sometimes you'll lift the India ink off, hit it with a Sharpie and some pinholes here and there, or rebrush it. But usually just dab it with a Sharpie would be fine. So, yeah. Well, I think this is a great discussion, guys. I don't know about you, but I feel good about getting all this information out there. What, you were going to say something, Spots?
Yeah, I was just wondering. I use a color calibrator on my screens to make sure that I'm getting accurate color. Does anyone else do that as well?
Yeah. Give me a second. I actually was going to bring that up. Here. One sec.
Okay.
It's like streaming with Rotten Glory all over again.
Yeah.
Everybody, shh.
Lucius does the same thing. He'll like start a stream and then he'll just go away. It's like, where'd Lucius go? It's like, I'm taking a piss.
Oh man.
You just need a streaming jug. Keep telling everybody.
What's that?
So carry on.
So people, while we're waiting, go
I'm
check
here.
out Through the Woods, City of Venus, 7 Legions.
So InkSpots' point, he said, do you calibrate your screens? Now, you can use onboard calibration if you're on a Mac. There is a control panel. You can calibrate your screens, but you're not actually getting print calibration, right? You're getting visual calibration. It looks right to you. So depending on the ambient light you have in your room, what light is being cast on your screen, what temperature it is, right? Because light has a temperature. Sunlight is warm. Fluorescent light is cool. And based on what light is reflecting into your eyes, it's going to determine how you interpret color on your screen. And I think back in the early 90s or late 80s, there was a international color consortium that met to talk about color. And they developed an international standard, and they developed color profiles called ICC profiles, right? And those were agreed upon color values for every specific color, so that everyone would have a baseline to calibrate their digital screens. Back then it was they were CRTs, but they were color screens, your scanners, your printers. As things became digital, there was a big problem between image sensory and the difference between how every display and device displayed those colors. So there needed to be a standard that everyone could look to calibrate their devices to match it. That way you could look at something on the screen and have a reasonable idea of how it's going to go to print. Now, in order to do that, you need something called a spectrophotometer. The spectrophotometer is basically, it's a device that you put on the middle of your screen, you plug it in, USB, you run the software, and it flashes light through the screen at the device, and it says, show me red, and it shows it red, and it goes, okay, it's off this much, and it takes that calculation, puts it into the calibration file. Show me blue, show me cyan, show me yellow, show me black, and different temperatures of black, different saturations, different a gamut of colors, right? So it bounces light through the screen, and then it takes all that information, looks at the International Color Consortium standards, and generates an ICC profile that you then apply to your screen, and it now displays the colors as close as it's physically possible for this device, as close to the ICC standards as possible. So if you have a good starting point with your screen and you're driving it properly with a calibrated ICC profile, you will have better results at the press. So
exactly, yeah. Do you use Adobe? I use Adobe 1998, and I embed that in my files.
You use 1998?
Yeah. What do you use?
That's juicy. That's really saturated.
I like Adobe 1998.
Yeah.
And I use. Was that a Spider Pro that you had there?
No, this is it's an X-Rite.
Okay, yeah.
Greg Macbeth. It used to be Greg Macbeth. I forget what it was called, but this is actually a Color Monkey.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Color Monkey display calibrator.
And I use a Spider Pro Elite, and also I would say when you calibrate your monitors, if you're going to do that, make sure that you calibrate it in the light that you're always working at. For me, I work it with all the lights in the room off except for one lamp, and then I bounce the light off a white wall, so I have ambient light shining on my screens. So I like to work in a dark room with just the ambient light. And if you a lot of times if you work in a brighter room, you're set up for the darker room, and your colors aren't going to display the same. So try to calibrate your monitor in a room. If you got outside light shining in, you want to make sure that that's how you calibrate your monitor if you're always working at that time of day, because you'll get different results. So
yeah, it's funny, the interplay between your screen and your eyeball, that's the point of failure, right? That's really where the point of failure. You cannot control the calibration here, right? The only thing you can do is calibrate all the devices in the chain that are going to display information to your eyes. And so the light in the room causes your irises, your pupils, to get smaller or bigger, depending on how much light is around you. And the amount of light that the screen is putting into your eye will cause the color temperature that you're perceiving to change. So in a color studio where people physically retouch and color or calibrate photographs, they will have neutral lighting that's usually around 5,000 Kelvin, and they'll have gray 128 walls, like those are RGB values, but it's basically perfect neutral gray walls. That way you get no ambient color shift, either cool or warm, bouncing into your eye. That's how nutty people get with color. at the super high end. That's talking super high end commercial level.
I would also like to say, like, if you're in a pipeline, there's more than one person working on your comic, make sure that when the next person gets your file, that you tell them, don't save a different color profile than what I just worked in, because it's not going to, it's going to get all screwed up when it goes to the printer. It's not going to, because I've had clients save an sRGB after I sent them, and just destroy the colors. And they're like, "Why it's printing so dark at the print?" Yeah, because they needed my original. I worked in this color profile. You resaved it with a different color profile, lost information, and then sent it to the printer. You can't do that. The color profile needs to stay constant once the colorist touches it. Doesn't matter so much with the line art, but once the colorist touches it, that profile needs to stay the same until it gets to the printer, and then they'll change it to whatever they want to, do. So
that's one of the reasons why I stay away from Adobe 1998, because it tends to look really dark on just the random Windows monitor of the person you're sending to for proofing.
Yeah.
They go, "Ooh, it's kind of dark." It looks great on my Mac screen, but it looks super dark for them. So I actually use Color Match RGB, which Color Match RGB is the ICC standard for all illuminated screens, like from television screens through all like LCDs and things like that.
Oh, nice.
That way, and it tends to be desaturated. It tends to be a little bit less saturated. So when it gets onto the random Windows screen of the laptop of the person who's going to be looking at your work and going, "Yeah, I'll pay you now," it'll look bright to them. It won't look dark. So for us artists, 1998 looks beautiful and juicy, but to the random Windows user out there who's just on their laptop, it looks like fucking dark as night for them. Yeah.
Say the one you're using again.
A Color Match RGB is what I use for displaying on illuminated screens. And another thing that's important to note too is the difference between embedding a color profile and tagging. Right? You tag it with a color profile, and then when someone opens it, they need to make sure to not re-embed a new file, like Inkspots was saying, not to change the embedded color profile. Because if you open a file that's got Color Match RGB embedded in it, and your Photoshop says to ask and respect the embedded profile, it will display it with the proper with whatever source ICC profile you embedded into it. So
yep. And that could be a lot, like if you see a book with dark colors, it could be that the colorist did his job, but when it got to whoever they were sending it to, they screwed the files up. Like it could go to a letterer, and the letterer could have saved it in a different, and then it got, it could be resaved a few times before it gets to the printer, and that will destroy the colors.
That's the thing. Someone's InDesign or Illustrator, when they went to letter it, had their color policies embedded in there. Might have been to like re-tag the images and re-embed a new profile in it. That could happen too. Yeah, that's fucked. That's a good point. So let's look at what Sim has. This is a piece of art that you're in the middle of saving.
Yeah, I did a few little touch-ups. So I'm saving as a PNG right now.
What are we looking at here?
We're looking at. Hold on a second. This is the Edwin the Ace is working on his own little comic there. And he had McMahon do a cover, a print for him, and he asked me to color it. So
cool.
Nice.
This is the colors I did for it.
Yeah, man.
He's working on the pre-launch page right now. I asked him permission before showing it. He hasn't tweeted it or talked much about the book yet. But yeah, he's gonna be launching the pre-launch page soon, and he gave me the 2 thumbs up when I told him I was on the Scottman show talking colors.
Very cool. Very cool. Like it.
Here's another one. This is the other one for Cybershock.
And that's the Joe Ball cover?
Yep.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Joe Ball's work, man. He's good.
He is.
Yeah, he's very
good.
detailed.
It's
Very
insanely detailed.
He's like, nobody can color my stuff. I go, let me try.
Yeah. Yeah, they said that like nobody can color. I colored a piece of his. It was a piece of cake. You just need to separate. Separate it out. Split
Piece
it
of
up.
cake, baby.
Piece of cake.
He's like, hey,
Just,
dude,
just start big shapes.
you have
work
to
inward.
understand that like, you almost don't have much work to do. You just have to do flats, and that job is pretty much done when you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It
Yeah.
is actually true, yeah.
Once you flat Joe's work, you put some color holds in the background to give it some good atmosphere, like
Just
screen
a little
the
bit of
line
shadow
track off the
highlights, and
distance.
you're
I
done.
mean, that flatting is going to take you forever, though.
It could, but yeah, but it's intimidating because of all the line work. But if you just
Not
look
if-
at broad shapes within the image,
But
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I was gonna say. You ignore the lines, you just go with the shapes. Yeah.
look at the shapes. So okay, well we're past the hour mark. This is kind of the length of the show I want the show to be. So let's talk about what projects we're shilling currently. Let's shill our way out the door here.
Mhm.
Obviously we've got a lot of people who are working on some really cool stuff. Some of the projects are live still, some are in demand, some are ready to get mailing lists out. So let's go around and list those. Vinny, you're one of the hardest working men in Comicsgate.
Yeah, you can say that again, man. Yeah, I got Through the Woods. It's the hardcover book. That's a 3-issue collected edition. You have the completed story right there. It's like in a French format, so it's a bigger book, hardcover, about 100 pages. I have the ash can that's with that. Kelsey Shannon did the cover. I got a bunch of comic skaters in there as well, including Sim and Joe Ball. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff there. City of Venus is still available. I have my art books on that campaign as well. There's 2 different art books you could get. They're 52 pages each. And I still have, I think, about 12 copies left of The Ghostly Manor on Howling Hill, which is the kid book project that I did with my brother Frank. So once those are gone, they're gone for good. So I suggest if anybody wants those, it is an all ages book, The Ghostly Manor. So check that out when you can. I think that's about it. And then, yeah, and keep an eye out. Like I said, another month or so, I'm going to be doing the sign up page for the pirate book. So,
Nice.
Yeah, lots of good stuff coming. And keep an eye out on other even big campaigns because I did some work for some people. I don't know if I could say or not yet. But
You did the cover for Red Gaze, right? For
Sunsworn.
Sunsworn? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did that as well. I got a piece I did for Clint that's in the Downcast campaign. Did a cool piece over there, but yeah, there's some other ones that I've done recently that I don't think I can announce those yet.
Okay.
You can say that you've done a cover for Charlie's London.
Yeah.
Yes,
out there.
that's right. Yeah, thank you, man. I almost forgot. Yeah, I did one of the main covers. I think that's the one that they're going to be making into a hardcover as well. Yeah, so
That I gotta say that rendering of Charlie Chaplin, absolutely beautiful. I mean, I felt like I was looking at a photograph of Charlie. It was great.
dude, thank you, man. That's no, dude. I really appreciate that. I did put a ton of work into this one. Shit,
It had an old timey feel, like it was a sepia photograph almost. It was great.
Thanks, man.
A lot of
Yeah,
charm.
Vinny, thanks a lot. I'm the colorist on that book. Now I got to compete with that. Damn. Thanks, man.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Well, I drove myself crazy with those cobblestone roads. I never wanted to paint that ever again.
Yep.
Nice. So we got Sim. You have a sign up page for?
Yeah, I have a sign up page for Tales from the Adverse with a sweet trailer by Red Gaze. And right now he's working on the voiceover. So yeah, go sign up now because we're going live in 4 days.
Right here.
And if you
This
want
is
to
the sign up.
Yep. And as you see, watch the video there. And the video is freaking awesome. And trading, you're gonna get an exclusive a link for an exclusive trading card. I actually created 2 perks for that mailing list, and both of them is like one of the perks from the campaign with the free trading card, and it's an exclusive trading card, so there's no other way you're gonna get it. But the people might enjoy the image because it's an unlockable print in the stretch goal, and one of the main stretch goals that people are liking in there's a Nat swimsuit special. That's unlockable.
Okay. The swimsuit special.
Yep.
Hmm.
We've been talking about it for a long time.
Oh, I know. I'm just.
Wait,
Nice.
Nat's in a swimsuit.
Yeah,
you will
beefcake,
see
bro.
you will see Nat in a swimsuit as all the other girls, because remember, there's a whole bunch of people in that verse.
He's wearing a Nat Nana hammock. You know what I mean?
You know, you can't forget the beef, dude. It's not, you know.
That's right.
When you talk about a nana hammock, we used to have we invented a word a long time ago, very drunk, and we used to have long beards at 18, 19, and we decided that it was worth trying to grow a scrammock. Where you grow your beard long enough that you can plait it with another set of hair to keep everything in a nice position, and then freely run around naked on the beach and no one will give a shit because you're not flashing nothing.
Yeah, it's like a
don't look up
two-piece
quick.
bathing suit. Nice.
Wow. The conversation when you're drunk.
Yeah, it connects to the other area like Velcro.
Yeah, well,
There you go,
it'll
yeah.
hurt when you arch your back, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's playing volleyball.
Just the visuals of just braided ginger hair from beard to balls. It's too strong for me. I don't have the coffee nor the brain power yet.
Good thing I didn't have lunch yet.
One thing I'd like to add on Tales from the Netverse is all the pages are drawn. I'm just waiting for the lettering to be done and the coloring, and there's Beacon and the Scots above. That's on it too.
Great, excellent. Ink spots. You're working on a book, right?
Yeah, a little one.
What's it called again?
Currently, I'm working on Cash Grab, Cecil's book. We've got the pencils and the inks from Donald DeLay look beautiful, and I mean, he's working his butt off. He's putting a lot of detail in these, and he's also doing that. He's leaving me a lot of room to do what I do with colors. So the book's at 225,000 now, so it's pretty cool. Also, we got Charlie's London. I'm going to be doing the colors for that book that Vinny did that beautiful art for. And that's going to be launching pretty soon. So make sure you sign up for the mailing list. Charlie's London, from East Lane to Limelight, a Charlie Chaplin story. And then also, I am working on a book with Rotten Glory called Primed. And it's a fully painted book. I'm kind of holding up production on that because I already promised all these other projects. But there's page 1 that's partially completed. And then I'm also working on a children's book called An Adventurer's Guide to Questing. So
I don't mean to interrupt you, but hold on a second. Okay. This is a page of comic book art.
That's a killer.
What the fuck, man?
That's awesome.
I think this book is only going to take me about 322 years to finish.
That's just long enough for Rotten to wake up and come back from having a piss.
No. So, I still got to do the color on this, but yeah, this is the starting point for the page 1. So only another 20 hours to go.
This is fucking cover art. This is cover art. This isn't sequential. This is cover art. And this is what the whole book is going to look like. Guys, everyone, take note.
So that's what I'm doing. Well, I just, mainstream's gone. This is our forum now. They destroyed it. I figure we're gonna bring it back with what Vinny's doing, and a lot of the colorists and Comicsgate are doing new things. And I think that's what we need to be doing. We're innovating. It's like, you know what? I like to draw like this. Why can't a comic book look like this? It can look like whatever you want it to. Absolutely. We don't have any rules. We're just making awesome stuff we want to make. So,
and don't mingle with people, because we grow way faster by mingling and exchanging advice and stuff like that. Like, don't be shy. Reach out to people.
Well, I gotta say too that now that you mentioned that ink spots, I've had so many people tell me when I had the single issues of Through the Woods when I was doing conventions, Vinny, why the hell are you doing so much work on these books? I don't understand. I was like, what do you care?
Yeah,
if I'm doing something
bad, hey. Hey,
I'm like, if I'm doing something extra special and I want fans to read a really cool fucking story with the highest level of art, who are you to tell me no, you shouldn't be doing that?
right.
I'm like, how are your books selling there, Chief?
Yep, exactly.
Exactly.
But yeah, that's it, man. Do what you want. Put as much work as you want to put into it. Again, we know the rules, so we can bend them, break them, do whatever we want. But at the same time, and yeah, do the highest quality work that's imaginable, and you know it's going to show it. People are going to love it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, next up we got Michael Beacon,
Yeah.
the
So
illustrious ginger Afro gentleman. I'm so impressed right now. Oh,
All
you
right,
got
so-
the show?
Yep. So I got the Seven Legions books are in. They were printed through Mix'em, and they look fantastic. Got
Fuck
the
yeah.
matte gloss cover. So yeah, I got about 169. Yep, perfect bound. You got the spine there.
Oof.
Yeah. So there's about 169 copies left available. So get them while you can. They are shipping out this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's gonna be an awesome book. You know, feudal Japan mixed with sci-fi fantasy universe. Yeah, we got just the basic tier, which is the book, trading cards, bookmark, and a button pen. The bookmark was drawn by Sim, colored by me, and you can add on 4-pack of prints and an original piece of concept art. So,
Hell yeah, dude.
And the book looks amazing.
yep. It does.
I don't think he's using enough characters in that one scene. I think
Yeah.
This
So
one
kind of sparse.
Yeah, there's a lot of room that's not filled, you know.
Yeah,
I know some negative space up here. I don't know about that. What's
Yeah,
going
there's
on there,
empty space,
Beacon?
Yeah, that-
I don't know why.
that piece was originally like when Henry was doing the cover. He just came to me with like 3 different designs, and I saw that one. I was like, "Oh, that is so badass! I got to use it for something." Like he just had the layout. It's like so I came up with the idea of just like all the different soldiers in there represent different factions that are going to face off with throughout the series.
Kind of reminds me of that Psylocke cover that was done by, is it Finch, where she's leaping and all those ninjas are
Oh
attacking.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's got a similar tone. I dig that. That's fucking
Yeah.
incredible.
that's killer.
Yeah, that was brought up on Malin's art critique stream, and he was like, "I couldn't think of anything to say about this one, but I got to bring it up because it's so awesome." So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
one of the prints in the 4-pack you can get. So
Hell yeah,
It's beautiful.
thank you.
Absolutely beautiful.
really great stuff.
All right. Cap.
Yo! You can share my screen. I'll do it that way. It's really easy. I've got a couple of things I have to shield
Sure.
for, unfortunately. We're speaking of feudal Japan. You know what happened last time Comic Mark and I worked together. Kim Il-sung single-handedly defeated Japan at the end of the Second World War. And we are back! We are back again with Not Daredevil. This is far bigger than the little PDF thing that he gave away for free, although he nearly gave away 1,000 of them. If you ever remember or have read Not Daredevil by Comic Mark, this new version, this updated version, is also going to feature several new characters that you may or may not recognise from the Glev or not Lev Gleason universe. So go and get on the mailing list for this. This is not going to be a book you want to miss, because I guarantee you now there are going to be people that buy this that didn't get The Adventures of Kim Il-sung and Best Korea, and they will be kicking themselves left, right, and centre for not getting this first book. Because Comic Mark is a funny fucker. The other thing I have to shield for, I mentioned earlier, I was doing a little bit of work, colouring work for Russ Leach earlier, is Only Death Can Save Us. The Indiegogo is coming. I think the sign-up page for Indiegogo, the email list is already up there. But if you go to onlydeathcansaveus.com, not only will you find links to the sign-up page, there's also a link there for an 8-page preview of the book, so you get the first 8 pages. Literally, that's what you. If you want a trailer, literally, fuck off, knob. If you want a trailer for the book, those 8 pages are the best trailer you will ever get for any book that isn't a visual thing, because it sums the book up perfectly. It's not a not Bronze Age inspired. Look, Homie Mark's fucking seeping into me. It's a Bronze Age inspired book that promises to be a lot of fun for everybody of all ages, and it's bringing comics back to what they used to be, because that's what Russ wants to do.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a great dude too. I was on a stream with him a couple days ago. Yeah, his work is great. His viewpoint and everything is really killer too. I can't wait for this book.
I couldn't believe in my luck when I found him. I was on a stream with Rotten on a Monday stream, and then as soon as that stream had finished, a guy called Lucifer Storm, who's another UK guy working on comics over here, who again has the same ideals that Comicsgate stands for. And I found them on YouTube doing a little show on a Monday. And as soon as I watched like the last half an hour of that particular episode, I got in contact with both of them immediately, and I'm so glad I did.
Nice. That's fucking awesome.
That's great. That's a great. I love stories like that where, people meet each other in Comicsgate and they're doing work together, and that's what's so great about Comicsgate is the mainstream. There's all these gates. There's all these people you gotta like impress. There's all these people that got to nod their head and accept your work and give you a gig, and like you got to make it. Comicsgate isn't like that. You show up, you network with people, you be cool to one another, right? You don't always have to agree. You don't always have to like each other's work or not critique each other.
But you can agree to disagree.
You can, like Man of Steel was a terrible movie, and we're fine with that.
Yeah, I love the Man of Steel. I just think I think the old Superman was a bit too much of Mary Sue, and
Inside baseball. Okay.
But the thing is, we could be civil. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We can have a dialogue.
You mean adult?
Yeah,
right.
dude, me and Scott's are friends, and I'm sorry. There's nobody can tell me that you agree and you get that you agree on everything with your best friend. It doesn't
Oh
work.
no, absolutely.
No, my best friend's a cunt.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Excellent. Well, Shay, what have you got going on? You got any projects to shill?
I can't until Thursday, sadly. But yeah, I'm working on writing for a really cool project. So I'm actually doing a short story, and it's gonna be fucking awesome. That's actually what I was working on in between any quips that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm helping out with flats for Oddity and for Cash Grabs, so that's always awesome. And I guess my big thing is Red Valkyrie being monetized. Now we can do memberships, so I'm deciding what I'm gonna do for memberships. I'm thinking fuck it, I'm thinking I might do some watercolor pieces and do some postcards that I send out to people and stuff like that monthly, and then every year we're maybe going to do a patch, but I want to talk it all over with Sai, because Sai is the other half of Red Valkyrie. So
very cool.
Probably launch.
You need to design some emotes too.
Yes, yeah, I've started, but I'm not launching any of them yet. So we're probably gonna have all that stuff launching in October, November timeframe when Sai gets back. So
That's awesome.
Very nice.
Can I just touch on something that Scotsman mentioned earlier? Not earlier, a second ago, really. About Comicsgate and people coming together. If it wasn't for Comicsgate and not finding, unfortunately found Comicsgate through, not unfortunately through Eason, but unfortunately through fucking Star Wars, you wankers, I wouldn't be drawing. I wouldn't have even picked up a pencil after 16 years. I just wouldn't. It wouldn't have even entered my brain to even contemplate doing that.
I still remember the first message you sent me, dude. I'm starting, dude. I'll never forget it. Like, you're like, look, I just got back into CG. I got into CG, and I just got back into drawing. I haven't drawn in so much, and you started showing your drawings. And you evolve and evolve and evolve and got better and better and better. And now you're doing flats, and now you're doing colors, dude.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you did a review on my book.
Proud of you, dude.
And you did a drawing of one of my characters from it. I thought it was beautiful.
I did, true. I remember that. Yeah, they're difficult to do, drawing and reviewing at the same time. Mine.
You did a fan art of
Best
Bloodhound.
shit artist in Comicsgate, I think's what your moniker was for a while.
Best shit artist in Comicsgate. That's probably as accurate as you could get. because well, look, no one else is going to want that moniker, are they? So I can claim that. At least I'm the best at something, even if it is being shit.
It's funny.
It's the best shit show on YouTube. So
There you go.
But the reason why I brought that up is because I think you'll be in the same boat, Shay, with doing flats for Oddity and all that sort of stuff. So it's not just a case of a group of people coming together to go fuck you mainstream comics. Right. It's a group of people coming together not just to make comics better, but to help each other and bring new people in, whether it's as creators or as fans. And I think that's a phenomenal thing to do. And right now, if you look at the state of mainstream comics, it's us that's leading the fucking way. Well, it's you guys are leading the way. I'm like the crutch that helps you walk along when you get an injury. Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, we're changing the way things are done.
Right.
Well, the thing that's funny is if it weren't for CG and it weren't for this whole community, not only would I not be flatting, I wouldn't have started drawing again. I wouldn't be writing. I wouldn't be doing any of this. I wouldn't be working on cosplay like I have been. And so, like, it's basically I jumped into this entire community and just inspiration just abounds. And I was like, all right, I'm doing everything.
Good thing we all found this hate group to be a part of.
I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really
right.
Awesome.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I've been I was a freelancer for 20 years, and before I found Comicsgate, I was actually getting ready to completely give up on doing art at all. I was, I was trying to get into children's books for like 20 years. I could not get in. So, but then Comicsgate is just opportunities. There's opportunities everywhere. If you want to do something, you can either get on board with a partner and do it, or you can do it yourself. The door's wide open.
Exactly. And it's the same thing, man. It's been about 20 years I've been in the industry as a lead designer for McFarlane Toys. Then I did like 2 years worth of covers for a couple of different companies, shit for Image as well. And they're still giving me a hard time. They're still ripping me off. I was sick of it. Absolutely fucking sick of it. You know? Coming so close to landing gigantic gigs and being fucked over by top brass. It's ridiculous. I can't believe the kind of gatekeeping that's out there. Yep. So over here, man, we got opportunities. We're all connecting with one another. I mean, the coolest thing too is that we are all becoming friends with one another, jumping on each other's streams and shows. Where are you going to find that in the mainstream? They're all cutthroat. They all have a knife in their hand, man, ready to stab you. Over here, we're all looking to help each other. That's a cool thing.
Absolutely.
You know,
first time I talked to Cap, he DM'd me about a rendering of the Joker he'd worked on. Right, he was coloring line art of the Joker, and I'd recommended, hey, try a dual light source, do a little purple, little green, and he sent out a new one. He's like, I did it, and I'm like, that looks great. You know what I mean? Like, it's a casual interaction between two guys who'd never talked before.
I mean, it did help that your name is Spartan Scotsman. Like that's like, that's easy. But the other thing I want to say as well is, if you look at the way the mainstream works, a lot of that mainstream, they've got, admittedly, they've probably got flatting farms out in Polynesia somewhere. Well, not Polynesia, I can't remember what it is. You know what I mean?
In Asian countries.
But everything else they'll do, it'll be within a very minute group of people. They don't extend that group out. Whereas you look at Xenotype, which I know Scotsman's going to shill for in a minute. I was going to say you've got two Europeans, but that's now a lie. You've got a European, a Scotsman, because of course I'm not part of Europe anymore, an Australian writer, and a Scotsman/America, an American, that's what I'm going to call him, living over in California.
I'm an American.
Yeah, there we go. So you've got people from all over the world working on the same book, and I don't think you'd ever see that really in the mainstream.
Yeah.
What I would say to mainstream comics is, fuck you, we got Rob Willis.
Yeah. And like, and I'm noticing a ton of artists are just like improving like amazingly over the span of like a year. Like, even in my case, my work is shit most of the time when I look at it, but like I just look at my old stuff and look at my new stuff. And it's like, yeah, this is dramatic improvement in like a year.
Yeah, we got guys like Preston Acevedo.
Yeah.
Holy crap! Yeah,
his paintings are like
his oil paintings. Wow.
Yeah. What? Got Charlie Snogans. I mean, have you seen some of the work he's doing on Fatal?
Yeah, man. That's beautiful.
By the way, mind-boggling.
Scotsman, I forgot to screen share before everyone else was showing stuff. Here's another taste of the pirate book.
Oh, God damn it! You're gonna do this to me.
It's a close up.
Yeah, it is.
But I think you might enjoy it. So yeah,
Ah.
this is all inked already as well. I'm I was prepping it for color, but yeah, because there's some elements I don't want to show yet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is just another taste of it. I think you guys are gonna really enjoy it. Oh, by the way, I forgot to show my my YouTube channel. It's mini art. Go check it out. I put up a new video about Marvel's next major hit, the superhero farting coloring book. This is real. So go take a look at that video.
Oh my God.
Holy shit!
Go Marvel.
Yeah, go
Hooray.
Marvel. They're not selling the souls of their characters at all, or mocking any of the creators. Nope, not at all.
Son of a bitch, man. What are they doing?
Did you just say they've got a farting superhero?
Yeah.
Coloring book.
Oh, oh my God.
Yeah,
Right.
It's a coloring book with all the superheroes in farting pose.
A lot of brown clouds in that book.
Oh, man. Does this come from the same guy that came up with internet gas?
Ugh. Wait, did we lose Vinny?
Yeah.
What's he
Yeah, that Fatal book looks beautiful, dude. That's like old school, like rendering and stuff. I love it.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, the first thing I ever saw from Snogans was that samurai thing he did where they're in a sushi restaurant and there's like a tiger attacking people and like all these samurai with their brains out and like some lady sitting there with an umbrella like in the background. There's so much detail. It's all fisheye.
He's like freaking Neil Adams, dude. He looks like his work looks so. I mean, that especially that first splash page, that looks like Neil Adams, like in his prime, like when he was like killing it, man. That's beautiful.
I see, Sim, you have a screen down here. You want me to share this?
Oh yeah. I was just wanting to, show for a book that's not mine, but I'm working on, and give you a little sample. So this is one I'm working on in Vane. This is what.
Vane that's for the Diaz brothers, right?
The Diaz brother, like the lost pages. And if you look
for that book,
there's a little Easter egg there. Recognize the person.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Lemmy that I'm doing right there.
Oh, nice.
And then you have Jack Burton smoking a cigarette. Big Trouble in Little China. Yeah, this is what I'm working on. If you haven't backed it, or at least got the bonus book, well, you're gonna regret it.
Nice.
Yeah, the Lost Pages looks epic. And it's another one of those great examples of success in Comicsgate. So we have the likes of Narwhal now working full-time on books.
Yeah,
there's a couple of other guys that are making that move as well. I know, Sim, you're in that boat and all. But yeah, look at what the Diaz brothers have done. Their first book, Magic Cop, did what, $3,000?
Yeah.
And the Lost Pages is cross 20. Like, and the Lost Pages looks mint. Like the concept behind that, you can tell they've been working on that book for what, 10, 11 years, and you can see it in the artwork, and it's not even their bloody work.
And they got a Simon Bisley cover.
Yeah, Bisley cover is freaking awesome, dude.
And they passed the 12K, 13K, I think, on Magic Cup before they closed.
Yeah.
Did it go that high? Wow.
Yeah, they closed the funding, I think, at 3,000 something or 5,000, but after that they got all the way to like 13,000.
Wow. Didn't know it went that high.
Yeah.
They're at 25K.
As soon as they started delivering, dude, their sales more than doubled.
Yeah.
I think you say Lost Pages at 25K. So that's the point I was making, is that it's an extra 10K. 12K on top of their original book.
Yep.
Like that's the way you judge the success. It's the amount of money that's coming in, the number of backers, and they're going up with everything they do.
That's what happens when you deliver and you go on streams and you network with people and you deliver and you go and you network and you deliver. You fulfill.
Yeah. Hey,
you know
look at me, man. Through the Woods. That was my first campaign. What did it pull in? Like 2,000 something. It was nothing, and the hardcover is, we're getting even closer to 40K. I mean, that's pretty fucking amazing.
And Blood Hunt is fully fulfilled. People are happy with the book, and yesterday I sent the digital to the digital backers, so everybody has their books.
Yeah, which is killer. But that's the thing, though, that we're saying is the growth. because you know I had art books, I had City of Venus, all that in between, you know, in between those campaigns, and even City of Venus, like it closed around 9, and now we're like over 23. You know, and again, they're still active, but the cool thing is that it is that growth. People are seeing the quality of the books, they're seeing what CG could deliver, and they want more of it. They're seeing these creators, they're seeing these cool stories. They want to know what else we got. They want to see more. They want to get more, because the mainstream is garbage, and this is where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a little book that I'm coloring. I've been coloring for a while. Xenotype Volume 1, 200 pages of very graphic story. Graphic. That's not a good word. Intense story about a boy who rewrites his own DNA and learns to fight against monsters and overcome a bunch of shit.
Man.
Yeah, the Colorist has it easy on that book.
Super simple.
Super easy.
How are you not wearing glasses yet?
Basically paint bucket dumps.
I'm thinking about getting some glasses, actually. I think my eyes are starting to go a little bit.
It's insane, brother. But yeah, I mean, and this book, it's a manga book, but it definitely has that vibe and that flavor of like Spider-Man mixed with, I don't know, I'd say even some kind of like monster and horror elements in there. Yeah. But it is a fun, beautiful looking book, and the free stories that were released for that whole manga contest thing are absolutely breathtaking.
Have you guys seen those?
I saw.
Yeah.
Medibang.
Yeah. So if that's any
where
sign,
Liam wrote himself in.
Well, no, that's a gag manga, right?
Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
It wasn't like, hey, let's do a story about ourselves and like, you know, like brag or whatever. No, it was a gag manga to thank the judges and to recognize all of the sacrifice that they've done as mangaka and given up their lives to the art form itself, right? So if you read the story, it talks about how it's a metaphor for writers believing in their own bullshit and getting their own nose up their own ass and really getting full of it, and how instead of doing instead of keeping their reader in mind and producing a satisfying story that has an end, they want to create the saga that goes on forever, and they don't. It's rather than it being something where you're trying to satisfy a reader and build fans, people who actually love your characters. You're just trying to sell books. There's a difference. There's a difference between the two.
I don't read.
The craziest thing about it is that they did that. What is it? Another 55 pages, and then they did that bonus story 55 to say thank you.
No, that's crazy.
That is that's just breathtaking.
They did Pursuit, which is a Xenotype story, which literally reads like Spider-Man. Like if you just take in your mind, take Esper out and put Spider-Man in place, is exactly the same shit. Like, you know, unfortunately, because I'm not particularly fast, Xenotype isn't in people's hands yet. It's scheduled for January. That's when it's supposed to deliver. I'm trying my hardest to color it as fast as I can. But people don't really know that Liam's writing yet. They don't know he talks a lot of shit. He's really braggadocious, but he backs it up in these 2 free manga. Like if you read them, they're really good. Like really fucking good. Yeah. So to see those out there, and not just out there, but out there for free. A lot of people were like, why are you giving this stuff away for free? Like, Vinny, why you coloring these pages so much? Huh? You making us look bad. You know what I mean? Like
it's a competition, right?
Right. It's for a competition, right? Yeah. Right, exactly. So
it's not really, you know, he's not doing it stupidly for free. He's actually trying to win something.
Well, it's a lot of it's recognition, a lot of it's prestige to get confirmation by some of the greatest manga artists in the world is a huge boost for Odie's career, and even Liam's career as a writer, you know, to get that kind of recognition. So I'm really proud of both of them, and we've talked about maybe me coloring Pursuit one day, after Xenotype is done, after Natverse is done, after X, Y, and Z is done, whatever else is waiting for me in the inbox, which is, you know, there's a lot of stuff, but I'm really proud of this team. I'm really proud of Conquest Comics, regardless of what anyone says about Liam or about the way he goes about things, or all the drama in CG, that's all been a result of everybody not getting along or whatever we've all been through. The more we network together, the more we share ideas, the more we get on streams together, build friendships and relationships like these, share our techniques, share our wisdom with each other, the better Comicsgate is going to be overall. And that's why I wanted to do this show. So
Hell yeah.
I appreciate every one of you being here today. I appreciate every one of you sharing your ideas with me and with our guests or with our viewers. I hope to see as many of you back next week. We'll have a new topic, and we'll talk about more of the coloring process and the next stage after you move from setting up a page to begin to color. So, anybody else want to say anything before we go?
Yes,
I
Comicsgate is
love you
fucking
all.
awesome. Love you all.
Love you all, people.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in today, guys, and we'll be back next week. Maybe with some new faces. Hopefully, we'll have everybody here on the panel. If your schedules permit, I would appreciate that. It would be great. If not, do what you got to do. We'll see you next Sunday.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you later.